Om Sadashiv Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Hari Om. So we'll start very quickly. We'll just recap last week's session and then move to the next one. So last week we saw, you can hear me, right? Very clearly. And if you don't mind, some of you can put your video on so at least I can see, because otherwise I'll just see the names, right? So whoever can put the video on, please do that, right? So last week we saw second chapter, which is, in some books it says Sankhya Yoga and some it is Gyan. So let's, for our purpose, we'll call it Gyan Yoga. And we will very quickly recap is what is Gyan. Whenever in terms of Vedant or Shastra study or Bhagavad Gita, whenever we say Gyan, it is Atma Gyan. We are not talking about the material knowledge. Material knowledge is fine. Physics, chemistry, math, that is fine. English. But we are talking Atma Gyan. And Atma means self. And we call it Atma. So it's all about the Gyan of Atma. But again, one thing is very clear, there is no separately we are going and getting about Atma. I am Atma. So that is Atma Gyan, because I need to realize, oh, it is all within me. So that's what second chapter was. And I'll just very quickly touch a couple of shlok and move to the next part. So in our Upanishadic studies, there is a question asked by a student, Ko Aham, who am I? And it's a very famous question, who am I? Arjun had the same issue. He said, Bhagwan, I'm forgetting who am I? Karpanya dosho upahat svabhava. Upahat svabhava means I am dysfunctional about myself. Svabhava means self. Swabhav. That's why we can call it swabhav. I don't know who am I, dysfunctional. Upahat swabhava. So then he says, Shishyasteham, I am your Shishya, guide me. Same thing, all our teachings, Upanishadic like that. The Upanishad Nada, Ko Aham, who am I? And the whole, after all the teaching, the answer is that Tattvamasi, you are that. There is no separate. And that's why if you look at that logo I showed, see, you are complete. So you are Brahman. That's what our teaching says. You don't have to go anywhere and find out. You are Brahman. Tattvamasi, you are that. The end of the teaching is you are that. So Koham, who am I? And is you are that. You are the Brahman. You are the complete. And that is Atma Gyan. And we call it self-realization. We, in the sense, Western world call it self-realization. And I gave the example of Steve Jobs last time. Steve Jobs' favorite book is Autobiography of a Yogi, which is nothing but the book all about self-realization. And in fact, the institute which Yoganand Paramhans created is a self-realization institute, or teaching is like that. So it is all. So that is second chapter. So Bhagavan first told Arjun, before bringing him to the karma, that you should know who you are. Then go to the karma. That's why his third chapter is Karma Yoga. Second chapter is the foundational teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Foundational means you should know who you are. So that is Atma Gyan. So, and what is when I realize I am Atma means, Atma, we saw the shlok, which is 24 shlok of second chapter. It says Atma is Purna, right? It's complete, so adequate. And anytime when I miss something, what happens when I feel I am not complete? There is a desire to be complete. Or if I miss something, I desire to get that thing. Material thing also, the same apply. If I don't the car which is I should have, I'll go for it. That's a desire for that. Same thing in the world desire, same thing. For anything we miss, there is a desire. So as long as I'm inadequate, I'm not Atma, I'm Anatma, I'm going to look for, and desire arises. And the desire is and then we'll see Now, next, going forward. So the 62nd shloka of second chapter, where Bhagavan says, you can read later on, but 60, Dhyayato Vishyan Punsah Sangasteshu Pajayate, Sanga Sanjayate, Kamat Krodho Vijayate, Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha, Sammohat Smriti Vibhrama, Smriti Bhranshad Buddhinashat Pranashyati. And that is called ladder of fall. So I'll send, there is a chart, I'll share with all of you. You can read, there is a simple chart. So the ladder of fall starts with the desire, Vishayan. You keep thinking of the worldly objects and the desire arises to get them. When nobody in this world can claim all my desires are fulfilled. Desires are by nature are unfulfilled. By nature, desire. If you go to Chuck E. Cheese's, at the entrance there is a whack the mole game. Whack the mole. You put a quarter or whatever, and you hit one, the another will come. That's why the name is whack the mole. Will never, desires are like that. Always unfulfilled. When the desires are unfulfilled, I am agitated. Krodh comes. Krodhat bhavati sammoha. When you are angry, and angry is not always anger, agitation, disturbed. And then Bhagavan says, Krodhat bhavati sammoha. When you are agitated or you are angry, you're deluded. Sammoha, your self-hypnotism. Krodh is nothing but self-hypnotism. When I go and watch the magic show, somebody else is hypnotizing me. In Krodha, I'm hypnotizing myself. Self-hallucination. And Bhagavan says, Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhrama. When you're deluded, you lost your identity. You forget who am I. And that's what, so Bhagavan is very nicely 62nd shloka. And further he gives all the answers also. So then Smriti Bhanshad, Buddhi Nashat. Buddhi, then if you have forgotten who am I, then there is no Buddhi. Buddhi is intellect. And Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. When the intellect is gone, Pranashyati means you fall from the goal, wherever you're going. You lost the track, you fall the ladder. So that's why we call it for fall of ladder. Vishay, Dhyan to Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. So that was second chapter. So Bhagavan says, first thing you remember who you are. And that's what that whole teaching is about. So now the third chapter is Karma Yoga. But before we, as I said last time, before we go to Karma Yoga, in the third chapter, which is Karma Yoga, Bhagavan is talking to Arjuna about Karma Yoga, and we'll see when we go to third chapter. But right now we'll just read the 36th and 37th sloka of third chapter. So you can go to that, which is 36 and 37 shloka. And I'll give you the reason why we are going to chapter 14th, not chapter 3. Chapter 3 we'll do next time. So the 36 shloka and 37 shloka, Karma Yoga, when Bhagavan is describing Karma Yoga, and he already talked about the desire. So Arjuna is asking, Arjuna Uvacha, Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha achinnapi vashneya baladiv niyojata. Arjuna is asking, hey Krishna, what forces us to do what I don't want to get angry. I don't want to have unnecessary desires, but something forces me from inside. I know that it is bad. I still do that. And then a very simple example of DUI. Everywhere it is written, like, and on Thanksgiving or long weekend, they keep saying in the news that don't drink and drive, don't get intoxicated. And we do that. And then this Arjuna is asking, who's forcing me from within? So the answer Bhagavan gave in the next slok 37. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kam Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Gun Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapapna Vidyena Ih Varinam. Bhagavan is saying Kam and Krodh. Kam is desire and Krodh is anger. Bhagavan said that is the beginning. When you have desires, and I said, whack the mole, no desire is incomplete, right? So when the desires are not fulfilled, you are angry, you get agitated. And that's where the fall starts. And Bhagavan says the reason of that is Rajo Gun Samadbhava. The desire is caused by Rajogun within us. And that's the reason whole thing starts. Then Bhagavan says, Mahashano, when desire is devouring, means it will eat you. It's a fire. You'll burn in that fire yourself. That is desire and growth. So Bhagavan says, Rajo Gun Samadbhava. And that's the reason we are going to 14th chapter. We'll come to 3rd chapter later. But I like, one of my favorite chapter is 2nd and 14th in Bhagavad Gita, which very few people like go that way, but I go that way. So we'll go to 14th chapter, because 14th chapter Bhagavan going to explain what is gun. And gun we'll see when we go to the chapter. So 14th chapter, Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuyam Pravakshami Jnananam Jnana Uttamam Yagyatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Gato Gata. Bhagavan is saying, I'm going to tell you something which is it's not secret. When Bhagavan used the word, it is very depth, which is you have to take a deep dive, we say in our technical terms. So I'm going to give that Gyan by which the Munis or Rishis have Prab Siddhi. We say Siddhi means accomplished. That's why Hanuman Chalisa we say Siddhi. Siddhi means accomplished. And they have accomplished their life. And what is accomplishment of life is, oh, I'm happy. That's it. I'm satisfied all the time. There is a saying when it's ancient that when you say I am happy because, the moment you put because, you're not happy, because your happiness is depending on something. And you should be just say, I'm happy, that's it. Why you're happy? If we look at little babies and all those things, baby is just happy. Or going in the cart in the store, Walmart, TJ Maxx, and baby will say, hey, hi. Little baby will say, anyone, hi, smiling. Just like that, without knowing. So by default, we should be happy. That's what he says Rishis have achieved. So with that, we'll go to, and then Bhagavan is going to, so let me share my one slide here, and then we'll go to what the guna are. Let me know when you see my screen.
I can see it.
And it is good enough? Like the fonts are big enough you can read?
All good.
Good. Okay, so the whole chapter is, we'll try to cover whatever maximum possible. So this chapter is about 3 guna. Guna means not qualities here. Guna means tendencies, we can say. Or guna means string also. There is a Sanskrit guna means string which covers you. So there are 3 gun. You hear all this time all these words, like in some artis or some where it's very prakriti. Prakriti means nature. We are all made of nature. When we go to 7th chapter, we'll talk about that. And I give you a simple example, and we move forward. We don't spend too much time on that. So what we are saying, that prakriti means simple is that we eat grains or vegetables. They are born out of nature, prakriti, and we eat them. So, and that's why we are made of 5 elements, panch tattva. And this panch tattva is prakriti. So we are made of prakriti, because that's why 80% body is water, and we have all the chemicals and ores, everything. So we are made of prakriti, because we and prakriti are made the same 5 elements. So prakriti has 3 gun, 3, we call it, attributes, no, but gun, tendencies. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. And we all have these 3. All of us have these 3. That's what prakriti. So when the Sattva is Anand, or light, or brightness, when we are pure, there is a Sattva gun. Whenever I am doing something good, or when I done something good, I feel Anand. So that is Sattva gun. And we'll see, this whole chapter is about this. Rajas gun means whenever I have desires, I have passion, I'm doing like activity, then rag develops. Because the activity or desire, see, in Gita sense, there are a lot of people have this confusion when they read Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavan is saying to Arjun that, oh, karma phal you don't know. He is saying, as long as you don't fight with I don't want karma phal. The moment I say I don't want, that means I want. Otherwise, there is no the question of saying, I don't want karma phal. Why are you saying that? That means there is something, there is a desire inside. That is called rag. We keep saying, but there is more we say, more attached we are. So the answer to that is, if the karma is for lok sangraha, the whole Bhagavad Gita is lok sangraha shastra. If somebody asks in simple terms, well-being of all. So Bhagwan is putting Arjun into yuddha for not for just winning the war, not for a medal, for the lok sangraha, for the well-being of the people who are being tortured by Duryodhana. So lok sangraha is so karma is not a problem. Karma phal and attachment. So rag, rajas. So rajas is there, but rag is the problem. And it gives rag. And the third is tamas, which is called moh, delusion, ignorance, arrogance, carelessness, depression, and all this. We call it sloth, like you, and that is all tamas. We all feel sometime. So we are made of these three gunas. And now the whole chapter, why Bhagwan is bringing this chapter, I like this chapter personally. So the goal here is to, we all have three. The goal is to a maximum of this. That's the goal. That's the goal of this chapter also. That's the goal Bhagwan. What Bhagwan brought little later, but I brought it. I read this early. So there are three gunas. This is typically a common man like us people, grahast. We have rajas, very high amount. The pie of rajas is very big. Then there is a tamas, like idleness or pramad, we call it, right? And there is a little bit of sattva also. We are in this Bhagavad Gita session because of sattva. We have sattva, that's why we are sitting at 9 p.m. and doing this class. Why? That's Arjun's question. Who is driving me from inside? For rajas, he was asking. For same thing for sattva also, somebody drives. Why we are doing this class at 9 p.m. Everybody's because of sattva. There is from inside, there is a joy, there is a purity which makes me. And same thing we get in tamas. So three are there. Now, very quickly, this is my own analysis, and we'll just quickly go through this. So morning hour, sattva is high. We always say that's why we call it Brahm Muhurt. That's why we should do puja and other things in the morning hour, because sattva is high. And then the rajas is there because we have to do some activities, and we do planning for the day and all those things. And there is a tamas still, or there is some laziness, or maybe we didn't sleep enough. So this is right. And then daytime hours, rajas is very high because I'm involved in activity. I know, especially America, goals and milestones and KPIs and numbers and stock market and 401k and all kind of things. And war is happening in Ukraine and what is happening in Washington, DC, all rajas. It's all rajas during the daytime. Look at that. And there's no choice. We have to. And then there are little tamas and then very few sattva. We don't have time for sattva. And evening hours, tamas is very high. During the day, I'm tired and frustrated and things where the desires were not fulfilled and something, I have a bad day and all tamas. And then little bit of rajas, but sattva is again low. So this chapter, when we read, there is a shlok, we'll end there. The shlok says ultimately the goal is to have highest tamas and the transcend tamas also. That is called gunatit. Atit means beyond that. So, but we are made of nature. How can I go beyond? Because I'm bound to have these three. And Bhagavan never says, Bhagavan Krishna in Gita, and no other Shastra said there is one option. You can be observer of all three, whatever comes. And if I feel like, oh, I did Bhagavad Gita, or I did 108 Hanuman Chalisa jap, and keep beating the drum. I see people say, oh, 108 Hanuman Chalisa, let's celebrate. Oh, Bhagavan says, oh, come on. If you had 110, you didn't do that. Something from within you did. Just enjoy that. If there is a tamas little bit, I want to sleep more, or something happened, like tamas means inappropriate, which is not required. That's okay. I mean, just observe that. And same is rajas. So that is gunatit. And that can happen. We'll see this chapter is about. So sattva. So goal is to become gunatit. Means gunatit in the sense you cannot go beyond because you have to be, but just be the observer of this. And there is a 6th chapter. When we go to that 6th chapter, Bhagavan has taught dhyan. And see, that's why I said Bhagavad Gita is not a linear teaching. You should not go first check chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. No, no. It's just randomly Arjuna is asking, Bhagavan is telling. So that's the reason this course was I like designed I personally, because we have to go through Bhagavad Gita once from end to end, from beginning to end, with someone who has studied, so that we don't get the confusing messages, because on YouTube or online there are a lot of resources which are all good. I mean, nothing wrong in that. But unless you yourself has gone through the entire drill once and see that, oh, this is this, like, then only just read on other things. So that's the reason, like, 14th chapter is important, because Bhagavan is talking about, in third chapter he referred about Rajogun. But if you don't know what is Rajogun, then the whole shlok makes, what is he talking about? That's the reason I personally feel this 14th chapter should be taught to kids right from the early age, so that they know this is about talking about the lifestyle. What is should be our lifestyle? So we'll see that as we go forward. Whatever we'll be able to cover, we'll cover. If we cannot, then yeah, we can read that. And on Thursday, I have a session which was going on for 4 years, and it is on YouTube. I'll send you the link. And there, sometime we spend 1 hour on one shlok. So all those chapter, like second chapter, if you want to go, there are at least 6 or 8 sessions or 10 sessions of second chapter. So I'll provide you the link. You can go there, and it is by shlok. So I like made a playlist. So you can go shlok number 62. You can listen. There's like a whole, but that's on Thursday session. I do that, right? So you can refer in detail there. But there, our goal here is to go to Bhagavad Gita beginning to end in 12 weeks. Yeah. So now let's go to Bhagavan is going to define what these 3 gun are. So gun means, again, gun means tendencies, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva, whenever we all have these 3. Whenever I feel good, light-hearted, or purity, or prakash, hamare prakash bhai yahan par. When you feel prakash inside, then there is a sattva gun in me more. And it happens in the early morning hours, or you do something good, or maybe did a good bhajan or mandir darshan. But if I go to mandir, do a darshan, and there is a desire, or I see in mandir, oh, things are not good, things are bad, this mandir is not good, well, there is a rajas there or tamas there. So we kill the whole sattva by rajas and tamas. And this is called interplay of gun. These 3 gun, they interplay. So our goal is to raise sattva more, and we'll see at the end how we raise sattva more. So that sattva is like a diving board. If you are in a swimming pool and you want to take a jump, you go to take the ladders, go to the diving board, and then jump. So sattva is like that. So we have to raise from tam to raj to sattva, and more sattva, and then there is a chance I can go beyond sattva. And we'll see how we go beyond sattva. At the end of the Bhagavad Gita, we'll realize that there are people who have gone, not maybe 100%, but maybe during few times or during few days in the day, we'll feel, oh, I'm beyond all these gun. There's a joy in that. We call it Jivan Mukt. There is a term used in our Shastra. Jivan Mukt means Jivan means life, and Mukta means freedom, the one who is free while living. Like we say, oh, moksha, you go to Swarga, and all. There is no Swarga right here. Right here, you are happy all the time. I'm happy. There is no because word. I'm just happy. And that is called Jivan Mukta. So once we could have that technique of observing those gun, whatever it is, sattva, raj, tamas, I am just the witness, the sakshi we call it. And then there is a joy. So it will happen. It has happened to our rishis. It has happened to our acharyas. It can happen to anyone. It's not that you have to have certain hours of Hanuman Chalisa part or Gayatri Jap. It can happen anytime to anyone. Sattva gun, but that we can work. That's a lifestyle. So we'll see that, right? So we cannot do all the shlok because we have limited time. So let's read shlok number 6 of 14th chapter. So Bhagavan is defining the sattva gun. So Bhagavan is saying, Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatvat Prakasham Anamayam Sukha Sangena Badnati Jnana Sangena Chanaga. So Bhagavan is saying, whenever you feel Prakash means light or the purity in you, that means Sat is increasing. But all the gun, there is a definition of gun, it binds also. So Sattva gun also there is a bind. Otherwise, our whole sadhana is to get the freedom, which is moksha or liberation. But Bhagavan is saying, Sattva binds too. Oh, I have given this much donation. Oh, the moment I have given this much donation, you're bound by that. See, and that's what Bhagavan is saying. And then Sattva means you, like typically you have more knowledge or more awareness. Not knowledge means knowing more things. I'm more aware of things. I have enough wisdom, but that feeling of that I know more, I have wisdom, that is also bondage. So Bhagavan says, you be careful with Sattva. Sattva also binds. By binds what? And then Sattva has the desire to be always happy, always sukhi, and I want quietude. People are making noise. Can you just shut off this door? I'm doing meditation. Hold on. You are doing meditation and you are saying all other people are not doing meditation. That Sattva is saying, that is ahankar in Sattva. Who are you to decide others are not doing meditation or others are doing bad things? Who are you? You just do your things. Bhagavan is teaching Arjun this dhyan in the battlefield where the warriors are standing in front of you. Bhagavan says, do meditation, Arjun. In meditation, you can do the yuddha. That is the teaching. That is Sri Krishna only can teach. So that's the reason Bhagavad Gita is relevant to all of us. It's not just sitting in the room and doing things. So Sattva-gun, Bhagavan says, be careful. It also binds. Because if you feel more, and then we'll see how to overcome that. The next slok, Bhagavan says, Rajogun, 7th slok. Rajo ragatmakam viddhi trashna sanga samudbhavam tan badnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. So Bhagavan is saying, so Rajogun, we already talked about. Rajogun is the cause of Trashna. Trashna is a word used popularly in the Buddhist teaching. The entire Buddhist teaching is based on Trashna. According to Buddha, there is one problem in this world. One, that is Trashna. Trashna means illegitimate desires. What a powerful statement. Buddha says only one problem. And the entire Buddhist teaching is there to solve that one problem, Trashna. And that's what Bhagavan is saying. Trashna Sanga Samudbhava. Trashna means illegitimate desire. Desires are going to be there, eating and all, which is not required. That desire is illegitimate. And that desire brings attachment also. Because that desire which I have there is a goal in my mind. I want this because it will make me happy, or it will make me big, or it will make me something which is extraordinary. There is a result you're looking for. And result, and Bhagavan says, Sanga Samudbhava. Whenever there is a result, there is attachment. Whenever there is a result, there is attachment. This is a very clear statement of Bhagavad Gita. The 3rd chapter will, when we go, 100%. So, and the reason when we'll talk about more detail when we go to karma. So when there is a karma phal, there is an action result, and always there is an attachment to. Otherwise, why do you have phal? We'll talk about more in karma yoga. And Bhagavan says, Tanya Badnati, that also binds you. So now Sattva-gun binds, Rajogun binds, and Tamo-gun is like the ultimate, the 8th lok, right? Tamas tattva jnanajam viddhi mohanam sarvadehinam pramadalasya nidrabhi tastanni badnati bharata. Bhagavan is saying tamas means delusion. And when you're delusion, and he's saying why it is born? It is born of agyan, ignorance. And we all know that, right? Whenever I do something which is I know I should not be doing. We all know that, right? And we intentionally do that, or we don't know who is driving that from inside. And that is called ignorance. And I myself, I was so stupid. That means that particular moment you were ignorant. You knew you are not supposed to do that and you did it. And that is Bhagavan says Ajnanam. So tamas means whenever we have ignorance, it is tamas. And we call it toxication also. Tam word, like that's the reason we have prayer. Asatoma sadgamay, tamasoma jyotirgamay. Tam means darkness, ignorance. Take me from tamas to jyoti. Jyoti means light, sattva. That whole mantra is based on this teaching of Triguna. They're saying, take me from tamas to jyoti means sattva. That's the prayer. We say that prayer all the time in mandir and home and every puja. Children have memorized that, and if you ask, they'll just immediately give the meaning also, English meaning. Just what is that? Da, 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 da. Have you thought of what are we saying? This is what we are saying. Tamasoma jyotirgamay. I need to get rid of this tamas and get the jyoti, the prakash, the sattva, and go beyond that. Gunatit bhava Arjun. And then you go and do the yuddha. There is no even hinsa in that yuddha. So he says it is done for lok sangra, well-being of all. There is a karuna, there is a saying that I will read in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavan is saying that Arjun, you should have a quality called karuna, compassion. He is telling to a warrior that you go and shoot the arrow with a karuna. With compassion, shoot the arrow. Because you're not shooting the arrow for violence. You're not shooting the arrow for killing someone. There's a karuna for the well-being of all. So that is beauty of this teaching. But anyway, so we have a few minutes, right? So now we go to 5, 6, 7 or 8. Is it describing the definition of these 3 guna? We saw Agyan is for tamas, that trishna or attachment or moh or like attachment by rajas, and tamas, there is attachment to sukh or shanti. See, if I like fight for shanti, then there is sattva has a problem. I don't have to fight for shanti. Shanti just is my nature. And that is real sattva. If I am fighting and I'm saying around that, oh, I'm very good, I'm a very religious person, still the rajagun, tamagun are driving. You think you're sattva. It is like sattva is, Ravan came, it is sattva disguised, the rajagun disguised as sattva in us and disguise us, right? Ravan came, and when Sita ji said, no, I cannot come out and give you this arm, he came in the form of a Brahmin or a rishi, because he knew that if I go as a Ravan, Sita will not come out. So Rajogun is disguising as Sattvagun. He came as a Swami and kidnapped Sita. Kidnap your Sita means the purity or buddhi. Look at that. Rajogun comes in form of disguise as a Sattvagun. I feel I am doing good thing. I am going to mandir. I am doing puja. As long as I am doing. Rajogun is doing. Rajogun is disguising as Sattvagun and making you to do puja. Now puja flows, just the day puja flows through me, that is Sattvagun. I don't know how to do all these things. But in the beginning, we have to. It's not saying Bhagwan, but that's right. So let's move forward to the impact of this, the sign of this gun in us, which I briefly talked about, but Bhagwan is describing in the language of Bhagwan, Sri Krishna will see. So 11th shlok, Bhagwan is describing, this is for all of us. See, Bhagavad Gita, as I said in the beginning, Vinoha Bhave, one person I know in my life, I know many people, but one person I have followed him for a very young age. I was 12 years old from that time because my father was close to Vinoha Bhave. So I was fascinated by him. I don't know why, but I followed him till his end of his life, 1984. He died, 84. So I followed him and I used to read him very few books he has. One person who lived Bhagavad Gita, lived. So he said one statement I showed in the beginning, that everything taught in Bhagavad Gita can be tested in your life. Don't take teaching as it is. Test it. It works. Otherwise, this book would have been outdated by now. It is going to be never outdated. It's going to be more and more valuable as the life becomes more complex. So 11th shlok, Bhagwan is describing what happens when you have Sattvagun. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin, 11th slok. Prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyam vruddham sattvam ityuta. So Bhagavan is saying, whenever you feel there is a prakash, every Bhagavan has used the word prakash here. Prakash bhai hamare beta. Prakash means the chetanta, consciousness. Whenever my consciousness by nature, we call it chetana. Let me very quickly give an example. So here is, and it's not physiology also, and Gita is physiology, psychology, and everything, spirituality. So here is my mind. This side is the world, 5 senses. This side is my true nature, Atma, which is Sakshi, we call it. Here is the mind. Mind is an instrument. Mind is not Atma. Mind is not consciousness. Mind is a storage for consciousness. Mind is nothing but storage of thoughts. So here is the mind, and here is the world. 5 senses, I interact with the world. And this mind, here is the Atma. The problem is that I have so much of garbage from this world that mind is deluded. That we call it delusion, right? And it is like a frost on my windshield. When there is a frost on my windshield, I cannot drive. I just cannot, because I cannot see. So what we do, just put the heat on. When the heat is on from inside, there is a windshield is clean and I can see through. So here is the Sakshi, that is this Chetana, which is the Jyoti, we call it. Jyoti means when Jyoti comes to mind, the mind is clear. Then you can see the world clearly. Otherwise, if you getting input from here, the world is all like deluded, contaminated, and like our exhaust fan sometimes is choked. So that's the reason. So the whole journey, Bhagavan is saying, sometimes in your mind, when you see the light from here, sometimes you see during the day, light is always coming from here. Chetana is always, that's called Chetana consciousness. Awareness is always pure. It's light, Jyoti. That's why I say Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. So when the lights come, during the day, sometimes you feel, oh, in mind, I feel good. That means the light is coming from this side. And Bhagavan is saying that whenever you feel like Prakash or Bodh means that the enlightenment. That's why we call it Buddha. He got that Chetana from here to mind. He said, my mind is pure now, the Chetana, all light, right? Enlightened, that's what we call it, Bodh. Bhagavan says, feel that Sattva Guna is predominant in you. Whenever, and it happens to all of us, and we'll see it happens. It will happen. The 12th slok, we'll have to move a little forward, right? And as I said, we are a mix of 3. Only thing, it is the interplay of these guna which disguise and confuse. Our goal is to realize that I have Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Use Tamogun. You don't have to worry about Tamogun. We have to just, Tamogun is needed if you want to sleep and all those things. We need Tamogun to sleep, right? But don't oversleep, right? That's what they say, right? You need sleep. But Rajogun is the bigger problem, which Arjuna asked in 3rd chapter. What is that? Bhagavan says Rajogun. Rajogun is the key. Rajogun means activity, passion, because we are human beings, are born like that. We are conditioned from our childhood to just do. Yeah, you need to do for what? So that Rajogun can be used to channelize that energy, that power which is given to human being can be channelized to increase Sattvagun and then go beyond that. So we need Rajogun, but smartness, how to channelize that, right? And then so Bhagavan says, whenever you have little bit brightness or feel good, there is Sattvagun is rising in you. The second is 12th. Lobha pravattiram arambha karmana ashamah spraha rajasetani jayante vivradhe bharatarshabha. Bhagavan is saying, whenever there is a lobh means greed, whenever you have a greed in your mind, pravatti, karmana, and then you want to do more and more. Whenever you feel ashama, ashanti, you feel agitated, distressed. Spraha means you want to like do more, have more. All these things are when in your mind. If you summarize one thing, trishna, what Buddha says, desire. So desire becomes greed, and then it becomes ashanti, agitation. All same thing. And so you want to do more. That means Rajogun is higher in you. But the key is, right, you want to do more and more Rajo. So that is, Bhagavan says, that is Rajogun. And so we all have all three, right? Bhagavan is not saying that you cannot, but Rajogun will be there. So it's like that. On a lighter note, there is a young couple. They read Bhagavad Gita and they have a kid who's some 4 or 5 years old. So they said, we have read Bhagavad Gita that everybody has Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Sattva means doing good thing, Rajas means activity or some material things, and Tamas means just illegitimate or not required things. So let's test this, our boy, what he'll become according to Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita says you're born with these guns. So let's see what is his predominant by childhood. Then we'll make a program to send him to Bal Vihar or somewhere so we have more. So, but let's test it. What is basic? So they kept in the room, there is a Bhagavad Gita here, there is a dollar bill, and there is a beer can. And they were hiding behind, say like 8-10-year-old boy. Let's see what he does. So he goes to the room, he looks at 3 things, Bhagavad Gita. He said, if he picks up Bhagavad Gita, means Sattva Gun Pradhan child, then we have to work more towards spirituality. If he takes dollar bill, means more Rajogun. So he will have to then figure out what the program. If he takes that beer can, that means more Tamogun. So we'll see, then we have to work. This boy looks at all 3. He took Bhagavad Gita on the side, put the dollar bill in the pocket, take the beer can and went out. So it's all 3. So we have all 3. Only thing we need to channelize. That's what Bhagavan is saying. So now Bhagavan says the third one, which is 13th slok, which is how do you know we have tamogun? So aprakasho apravattischa pramado moha evacha tamasye stani jayante vivraddhe kurunandana. Whenever aprakash means darkness, whenever I am feeling low or I feel, that's why we say that a bhakt or jnani, bhakt and jnani are the same thing. There is no difference, but still use. Bhakt and Jnani cannot be unhappy. Yeah, because when we finish Bhagavad Gita, we'll know all these things. That's the reason Bhagavad Gita is very good. After reading Bhagavad Gita, you know that things are happening. This Prakriti has gun and Prakriti has its own. The weather is hot and cold and tsunami or non-tsunami or all these things, Prakriti decides. Human cannot control. We can only predict. Weather channel can show. Weather channel cannot say, oh, change it. No, you cannot change. Prakriti. Similarly, Prakriti is working within us also. So Prakriti, but only way if you are Jnani or Bhakt, you can control yourself. You can't change things, but you can make yourself undisturbed. Or Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. There is a second chapter, the shlok. The equanimity in all situations, favorable or non-favorable, that is yoga, according to Bhagavan Krishna. Samatvam yoga uchyate. So when these 3 gun, when you are observer of these 3 gun, that's it, gunati, you're transcending, you're not going out, you're still, this gun are playing in. Interplay will go on, but I'm just the observer. Then we'll realize slowly and keep doing right thing. We'll talk last 5 minutes, how do we do that Sattva gun. So Bhagavan is saying, whenever you feel the dark, apravrittim, means you don't feel like doing anything, laziness, indolence, sloth, that means, or moh means deluded, that means tamas is more. So now this question is asked, like how do, and people ask this question. So there is we'll go to the solution also. In Bhagavad Gita is given, but I'll summarize it. His whole chapter is about that. So I'm going to summarize that, right? So 25th shlok, before we go to that, or 23rd shlok. So there is a episode in Mahabharata. Krishna Bhagavan is talking to Duryodhan, and he's trying to convince him, if you can compromise, like now things are going in White House and all those things, just don't go for war, right? Can we do something? So Duryodhan and Bhagavan say that you are doing adharma. You are fighting for adharma, and so why don't you just to be on the side of dharma and do some compromise? So there is a shlok in Mahabharata time. Duryodhan says, Janami dharmam nachame pravatti. I know what is dharma, but pravatti means that inclination towards. I don't have inclination towards that. I know what is dharma, but I don't know why I don't have inclination towards that. And he says, Janami adharmam. I know what is adharma. Nachame nivratti. I cannot run away from that. And he says, something sitting inside me telling me to do this thing. That is tamogun. Dhritarashtra was blind, we all know that. And he had a lot of desire because he couldn't become the king. So Duryodhan is a product of Dhritarashtra Rajogun and Gandhari's Tamogun. A lot of people say, oh, Gandhari to put that covered her eyes because she wanted to be like her husband, so pativrata. No, what? Come on, you have kids. You both your husband is blind. You are also becoming blind and spoiling the kid. He has become Duryodhan. You created Duryodhan. If she didn't put that that whole scarf around her eyes, and could have taken care of kids, right? Duryodhan could have been a better boy. Now both the parents are blind. What is going to happen to the kid? So it was Rajogun of the Dhritarashtra and Tamogun of Gandhari created Duryodhan. And Duryodhan saying, that's the reason I know dharma, I know adharma, but I cannot do anything. Adharma is forcing me. Tamogun or Rajogun is forcing me to do this. Go for a war. So that's what Bhagavan is saying. We have opportunity. We are human beings. Tulsidas ji in Ramcharitmanas give a shlok or doha. He says, Bade bhagya manus tan pawa. I'll say in Hindi first English. Bade bhagya manus tan pawa. The second line says, Asur also, the Sur, they also think we cannot have that. So Manush is lucky that you have an opportunity which even Devatas don't have, because Devatas cannot take the body. We have given the body. Body means there is a mind, there is a buddhi. I can make the choice. I have choices, right? Animals don't have choice. They live by instinct. Devatas, that's what they say. To say Devatas don't have choice. Manush have choice. Like you are a human being, you have intellect. Use it. So that's what Bhagavan is saying. So we'll go to 23rd shlok. And so that's what Bhagavan is describing, the transcendent, the gunatit, right? So 23rd shlok. Udasino guneryo na vichalyate gunavartante ityeva yogo avastishtati nengate. Bhagavan is saying udasin means udasin is indifferent. Indifferent in the sense is not that I'm running away. I'm a non-participating participant. And very simple is that if you can be a good actor, suppose you're doing a drama or a movie, you can be a good actor and you can be a good observer. So I act, maybe Tom Hanks or Brad Pitt or Amitabh Bachchan, they act so well because that's why people know them, right? But they're aware that I'm not that role. I'm just playing that role for that movie or for that hour. And then I back. But if you forget that, if you're not a good observer, then we all know what happened to the Heath Ledger. In the Dark Knight movie, he practiced so much to be that Joker. He used to take drugs in the night. It's all in New York. It's on news, right? It's nothing like. And 23 years of age before the movie was released, movie got Oscar, he died of overdose. Rajogun, Tamogun. But because he was a good actor, but he was not a good observer. Tom Hanks, Amitabh Bachchan, they're good actor and good observer. They play all kind of roles, but when they're out of movie, they're normal human being. There was a movie star in India, Rajesh Khanna. It is a history of Bollywood movies. The most romantic star. He died of frustration. He died of alcohol. He died of nobody's around him. Because when he was a big romantic hero, outside of that, his life is very bad. On the screen, he was a romantic hero. Everybody likes Rajesh Khanna. But out of his screen, is a spoiled life. He died of sickness. A person who gave so much joy to the world, he died of sickness, of frustration. Michael Jackson, the best dancer of this century, he died of overdose, frustration. Because he was a good dancer on the stage. We can watch Michael Jackson for half an hour, non-stop. But outside of that stage, Michael Jackson is a frustrated life, not a good observer. So Bhagavan is saying that all these gun will play the role. Enjoy that. Rajogun will be there. Use it for good karma, lok sangra. Be a best karta. Be a best like worker or professional or whatever. But just be the observer. Don't get indulged into that. Because if you indulge into that, then attachment comes. Same thing Sattva Gun. Do Lord Puja or Mandir, but don't get attached to Mandir, Puja. It's the same thing. Sattva Gun with Ahankar is equal to Tamo. There's no difference. So Bhagavan is saying, be a good actor and be a good, that is called Sakshi. That's what Bhagavan is saying. Udasin na vichalyate. Udasin means just observe. Please be the observer. Udasin word is very beautiful. Just be the observer. And Bhagavan says, Guna Guneshu Vartante. These gun, they are playing their own role. You cannot fight with them. We are born with 3 gun. Only thing, I have given a chance. Read Bhagavad Gita, read whatever. Go to Balvihar from the childhood. Take care of things. Work. That's why we have satsang. That's the reason we do satsang. This is all what is happening in satsang. This is the opportunity given to human being. If you don't do it, end of the life, you cannot keep singing bhajan of Anuj Ulata, jab prana tan se likh rahe Radhe ko saath lana. The bhajan doesn't do anything. You do something, then Bhagwan will come at the end of the life. And there is a study, I mean, I'm going to science, but in medical field, they do the study how people, and they have an interview of nurses, what happened to the last moment of people when dying. And nurses have given their like testimonials that many people die happy, many people die frustrated, many people die like just like that. But it is a study, they don't call it Sattva Gun. The more Sattva Gun you have, more more peaceful end of your life will be there. Recently, Arpit's mother, she passed away, and she was talking about Sai Baba, like whatever her guru or whatever her deity was. Why? Because you have that Sattva Gun. So at the end of the life, you remember. My own father, I remember it. When I went to India just before he was passing away, and I asked him, he was in the almost like last days of his life. He had mala in his hand, and he was a very honest man. I mean, I not seen any honest man like this. Not because my father, everybody knew him. So he was having that mala in his hand. I asked, Babaji, are you able to do the jap? And he said, no, beta, this life, all life we are thinking of the body. At the end, I am trying, but still mind goes to the body. Then there is a sickness here, there is a problem here. What an honest answer. And I heads off, I said, at the end of life, you are giving that honest answer. Otherwise, somebody will not say, oh, no, I'm Bhagwan all around me. No, that is Sattva Gun. So end of life, Bhagwan says, if you are Sakshi, you will have better end of life. And then 25th shlok will stop here. Bhagwan says, what happens to this? This is a characteristics of quality of a Gunatit, the one who is observer and player at the same time. Player, you have to be there because Guna are there. So Bhagwan is saying, Man apamanayo tulya mitra ripakshayo sarvaramba parityagi gunatitah sa uchyate. Bhagwan is saying, this person is man apman. Whether somebody praises or somebody criticizes, it doesn't matter. Who are you criticizing? This body, which I am not. I am that Satchidananda Atma, always helpful. So yeah, this body has something you can always criticize and praise what is happening through this body. And Sarvarambha Parityagi. He doesn't, Bhagwan is not saying, like the English translation is saying, you are not interested in initiative. No, he is not saying not. Every initiative is done by Bhagwan. I am just like Arjun. Krishna is the Sarthi. You drive, I am sitting here. So that is what Sarvaram Parityagi means. It's not that I don't want to work. Whatever you will guide me, I'll do that. Giving it to someone else, but Bhagwan. And that's what Bhagwan said. So well, very quickly we'll stop here. The question is always asked that how do we do that? So there are, in our Shastra, it is given this sadhana, how to raise Sattva Gun. Panch Mahayagya, and I'm going to send that slide to all of you after that. Panch Mahayagya means Brahma Yagya, Dev Yagya, Pitra Yagya, Manushya Yagya, Bhut Yagya, 5. For every day we should remember Bhagwan, do whatever, sadhana, Bhagavad Gita, Hanuman Chalisa, whatever you want to do. Dev Yajna means do the praise for the nature, sun, moon, planets. That's why we have a shlok, Brahma Murari Tripurantakari, Bhanu Shashi Bhumi Suto Budascha, Guruscha Shukra Shani Rahu Ketava, Sarve Graha Shanti Karava. Kya baat? That's our prayer. Every planet, all stars should be in harmony. That's Dev Yajna. And then Pitra Yajna. Remember the ancestors, parents, grandparents, whatever they have done good. Let's do that. Continue, not like Duryodhan. We have to be like, there are so many examples. Right? So that's Pitra Yajna. Then Manushya. Take care of each other, society, environment, and Bhut Yajna. And planet, like environment, plants, animals, rivers. That's why Hindus do worship plant. Panch Mahayajna. So all, if we do, that is a sadhana. And within, and I have another formula, I still have 2 minutes. I give that OTP, one-time password given by our rishis. One is Ek Omkar Satnam. That is, Guru Nanak's first teaching is Ek Omkar Satnam. Only Omkar is the Satya. Omkar is Bhagwan. The Bhagwan is the only Satya. Rest everything is impermanent. Let's not depend on these things. If I have to depend on for my happiness, let me depend on Bhagwan. Why on these? All these things are anyway temporary, and that's the problem. If my happiness is dependent on temporary things, things will go away, and then I'll be unhappy again, because all these are temporary. One Ek Omkar Satnam, only one Omkar, which is Bhagwan's name, is the truth. Then O means Omkar, T means Trikal Sandhya. 3 times we should do this during the early morning, during the day, and evening. That's why we have the process like Sandhya Vandanam 3 times. Whatever, Gayatri month, Dhyan, we'll talk about 6th chapter when we come to Dhyan. 3 times we have to do that. Raju, remember that in the morning, Sattva is high. When you do, it will prolong Sattva for a longer time. During the day, Rajogun is high. During the day, that's why Sandhya Vandanam, middle of the day. That time you are frustrated and tired. Do that Dhyan, Jap, whatever you want to do. That will again cool down Rajogun, bring Sattva up. And evening, right? Again, Tamogun is high in the evening because frustrated day and all those things. Do Pratana, do whatever, Trikal Sandhya. Then again Sattva. So every time I am raising Sattva high. So OTP, one-time password, like Omkar Satnam, Trikal Sandhya, and Panch Mahayajna. If we all can do every day, it's so easy. And when do that Sattva will be raised. So otherwise, when your Sattva is raised, we'll stop here with Kabir Daji's one quick doha, and I'll translate 1 minute. Kabir Daji says, before I used to do this sadhana, before that, there is an animal called Gidd, in Sanskrit, Gidd means hawk or falcon, which is always looking for the dead bodies. Falcon is always looking for, and because they eat dead bodies, the flesh from the dead body. They're flying high and they'll come to know where dead bodies, right? And there is another bird called Hans, Swan. Swan is always looking for the beads, or looking for good things. So Kabir Daji say, Pahle yeh man gidd tha, karta jeevan ghat, when this was looking for all like the greedy things. Gidd means greed, that's what it said. Ab to yeh man hansa bhaya, ab ye sadhan karne ke baad hansa bhaya. Hans means the swan. Ab to yeh man hansa bhaya, moti chun chun khat. Ab ye moti, like look for pearls, the right things. And that's what. So once you do sadhana, the drashti, like our vision changes. I'm always going to look good in everything. That's the whole goal. This Gunatit person, everybody is good. And I know that if this person is not behaving well, it is because of the tamogun this person has. By default, this person is the same pure as me. Oneness. That's what the whole teaching, the Atma Gyan, is oneness. We are all different, but not separate. With that, we'll end here, 14th chapter. Next, we have 2 weeks of gap because Labor Day weekend and one day. So next, after Labor Day, we'll meet. We'll go to 3rd chapter. So with that, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Puri Krishna Kanaya Lal Ki Jai. Hari Om. I'll stay for a few more minutes. If anybody has any comment, question, I'll be the last person.